I said it in a previous video because I do believe that it's true that the West not only used to be good at creating entertainment, but they would actually lead the world when it came on creating good games. Such to the point that other countries like China would try to emulate what the West was doing. I don't know how many of you were gamers back then when World of Warcraft released, but it was a worldwide phenomena. And there were many Chinese developers that were trying to emulate World of Warcraft. Like, there were so many clone games that looked like WoW, to the point where even lawsuits over copyright infringement were launched, right? So the West was a juggernaut when it came to entertainment. And it wasn't just video games. It was comic books, TV shows. Like, you can go anywhere on Earth and ask someone about Battlestar Galactica or Stargate, and they will know what you're talking about. And unfortunately, the West got co-opted by a parasitic industry, which are the consultants from diversity, inclusivity, and equity, that managed to gaslight the developers. They managed to gaslight the game journalists. They managed to gaslight themselves into that, actually, we need to create games for the modern audience. And, without making polls or survey or research, they're deciding what the modern audience is, what the modern audience looks like, and what the modern audience consumes. And according to them, this is what the modern audience likes. I don't know how mentally unhinged you need to be to believe that anyone wants to fantasize about living in a world where they're interacting with characters like this to the point where they're willing to pay money, right? Like, imagine paying $70 to enter a fantasy where these are the characters that you surround yourself with, when you can just go to California and have it for free. Like, you go to California and you live the life. It's not a fantasy. Like, you can actually do it, right? So for the last couple of years, people like myself and many other content creators, we were telling Western AAA developers, like, what we actually want. And what we want is the same that used to exist. Neverwinter Nights, Mass Effect, World of Warcraft. Basically, sex and violence. That's what we want in our fantasy. You don't need pornography. Like, we don't actually want porn. You can make a game without the scene from The Last of Us 2. And you can make a game without the Witcher being naked in a bathtub. But we do want lewdness. We do want the skin-tight superheroes flying around. And we do want violence. Over the top, right? We want World of Warcraft, where it's not like an orc being a tourist in Stormwind and taking photo. No, we want an orc to show the decapitated head of a human on the fucking box. Or a night elf that is brutally killing an orc. Because it's called World of Warcraft. It's in the name. It's war, right? It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to have, like, the night elves that are sexy as hot. And it's supposed to have the violence that comes with war. And that would sell. That would sell. It's not fucking rocket science, okay? You don't need LGBT themes. You don't need diversity. You don't need any of that. You just need to do what works. If you don't understand why it works, then shut the fuck up and just recreate it. Because it's good. It has been working since Greek theater, Thanatos and Eros. Like, the Greeks discovered it, and ever since, it has been consistently working. But no, like, they convinced themselves that diversity is more important, to the point where Wukong comes out, and they're actually, like, journalists saying that Wukong is not diverse enough, and they reduced the score for it. And again, like, the job of these people is to assess the market. The job of these people is to understand what people want, so that they can advise you how to spend your money. That's why they have review scores. Because art is subjective, but they have review scores, right? So the purpose is, like, most people cannot afford to spend $70 on 10 different games, right? Like, they're not that rich. So, like, the job of the reviewer is to inform you which game you're most likely to buy. And in order to do that, they would have to actually understand the market. But they're like, oh, the game where you get to play as a monkey doesn't have enough diversity, so it's bad. It doesn't. Now, again, I don't know what diversity means. I don't know what inclusivity means. I don't know these big boy words. But what I do know is that they actually tapped into the modern audience. Like 1 million concurrent players. The market is starving for good games. They are absolutely famished. Now there are Reddit groups and sub forums where, again, like, they ban everyone that disagrees with them, so they have like a couple of chuckleheads left that are basically saying, oh no, like, look at the weird gamers, they're a vocal minority, they don't know what. The market is absolutely famished for good games, to the point where they're even going to phone games now. It's absolutely ridiculous. I said it on the live stream. I don't know how many people saw it, but I'm looking at Nikkei, which is from Shift Up. They made Stellar Blade, another game that sold very well, despite the fact that it was only on consoles. And now they're making a collaboration event with Evangelion. And they're giving the Evangelion girls bigger tits. And I'm like, okay, so this game, which is a phone game, you know, like 5 years ago, gacha games would have been considered the scourge of the earth, and I would still consider them today if we had actually good AAA games. But now it's on the top of the sale. Like, it's on the top of the Apple phone when it comes to video games. And all they're doing, like it doesn't even have that much gameplay to it. It doesn't even have like that much cost investment to it. It just does what the actual fans, the actual players want. They give petitions. Like, how many games do you know? No, seriously, like, how many Western games do you know that actually gives you a petition within the game to ask you, how would you feel about these changes and what would you want to see in the future? Like imagine you're playing Ubisoft, right? And you're playing Ubisoft. You're playing Assassin's Creed, right? And all of a sudden, the Ubisoft launcher rewards you some in-game currency if you complete a petition. And the petition asks you, like, various questions, like, how do you feel about women in games being objectified? Like, do you want to see less of that, or do you want to see more of that? What do you think about racist jokes? Do you want to see less, or do you want to see more? Like seriously, like, imagine this, right? Like, imagine you're actually asked, as the gamer, very brutally honest questions that may or may not be politically correct. Because, again, like, you know, if everyone hates racism, no one would want South Park jokes in their game, right? And then, once they get all the data, they actually listen to you. And it's like, okay, well, 75% of our demographics, like, want more sexy women. So the next ninja in Assassin's Creed is going to have big fat tits and a massive plump ass, and we're going to sexualize the living shit out of that fictional character. Because that's what our customer wants. Like, that's where the money is coming from. This is what the player base says, you know? Alternatively, if the player base goes like, no, what we love is pronouns, and we want gender-ambiguous characters that ChatGPT doesn't even know if it's a man or a woman. And we don't want any type of South Park-like jokes. We want everyone to be poker face and incredibly serious, and we only make jokes about right-wingers, and, you know, we want the bad guy to say the phrase, make America great again. And then, no, Ubisoft would listen, right? And they'd be like, okay, well, so this is what our demographic is like. This is what they want. But they don't do that, do they? They never poll the gamers. They never ask the gamers. So it's getting to the point where a communist country is actually making a better product than the West, which allegedly should have creative freedom. Allegedly, the West should have freedom to do whatever art and whatever they want, which is true to a degree. Like, you're not going to get in legal trouble, but the corporations won't let you. So let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.